Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Daniel, I'm 34, and until recently, I thought I had a pretty stable marriage. My wife, Jess, 32, and I have been together for 9 years, married for 6. We met in college. She was wild, fun, full of energy. I was the more reserved, grounded one. Total opposites, but somehow it worked, or so I thought. We bought a house together, built a life. I work in IT, and she's a hairstylist. No kids, thank God, in hindsight, just a dog named Rocky. I used to think we were the envy of our friends, always smiling in photos, going on trips, date nights once a week. She loved her girls' nights, which I never minded. Everyone needs their own space, right? I trusted her completely. I mean, we had our fights, who doesn't, but nothing that ever felt serious. I always believed we were a team. That was until things started shifting, slowly at first. So subtle, I told myself I was imagining it. Jess started being on her phone a lot more, like screen tilted away from me, always laughing at texts, sometimes going into the bathroom with it. I noticed she was going out more frequent girls' nights, new clothes, a sudden obsession with going to this bar downtown called the Rusty Oak. I even remember joking, "You seeing someone there or what?" And she laughed, a little too hard. "Please," as if anyone at that place is worth cheating on you for. I laughed too. Yeah, if only I knew then. This is just the beginning. What I thought was a happy, ordinary life was about to unravel faster than I could ever imagine. After the weird phone behavior and the excessive nights out, I started noticing more red flags. Jess was suddenly distant, emotionally flat. She used to light up when we talked or cuddled up on the couch to binge shows. Now she was either too tired or just not around. Her excuses started stacking up. I'm working late, a last minute client booked in. The girls plan something spontaneously. I'll be back late, don't wait up. This dress? Oh, I've had it for months, you just never noticed. She was lying. I knew it in my gut, that feeling that punches you in the stomach for no reason other than your instincts screaming something's wrong. But I still told myself I was paranoid. I wanted to believe her. Until one night, I couldn't anymore. It was a Thursday. She said she was going to her friend Emily's house for wine night. I kissed her goodbye, told her to have fun, and went back to working on some code. Around 10:45 p.m., I got up to grab a snack and noticed Jess's iPad was still on the kitchen table. It buzzed.
iMessage from Ryan. You wore that dress for me, didn't you?
"You've got me thinking about that back room again." My heart stopped. No passcode on the iPad. I tapped in. What followed was the emotional equivalent of a car crash. There were weeks of messages between Jess and this guy, Ryan. Flirty, graphic, bold. He was a bartender at the Rusty Oak, that bar she suddenly couldn't stay away from. The same one she claimed had terrible music but amazing cocktails. They weren't just texting, they were meeting up during her girls' nights, during late work hours, even once at our house when I was out of town for a tech conference, my own bed, photos, videos, jokes about me, about how clueless I was, about how dead our sex life had become, even though she was the one constantly pushing me away. I sat there for over an hour, reading through everything in disbelief, numb, shaking. I couldn't cry, couldn't scream, couldn't move. My wife was having an affair with some 28-year-old bartender who called her his wild blonde. She called him Rye Baby. I felt like I was watching someone else's nightmare play out, and I had no idea what to do next. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the kitchen staring at the iPad, rereading everything like some kind of masochist. I felt sick, violated, betrayed. My mind was spinning through every moment of the past few months, all the lies, all the fake smiles. And she was probably out with him while I was unraveling at home. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to, but something inside me told me to wait. I wanted to see how deep this went. So I took screenshots of everything on her iPad and backed them up to a flash drive, texts, photos, videos, dates, times. If she was going to lie, I needed evidence. She came home at 1:13 a.m. I remember the exact time. Her heels clicked across the hardwood like nothing was wrong. She smelled like expensive perfume and vodka. Her lipstick was smudged and she was humming some Dua Lipa song under her breath. I stayed sitting at the kitchen table, dead silent, just watching her. She jumped when she saw me. "Oh, babe, why are you up? Couldn't sleep?" I didn't say anything at first. I just looked at her. Then I said, "How's Ryan?" Her face dropped. Just drained of all color. She blinked fast. Who? I repeated it, slower this time. Ryan, the bartender from the Rusty Oak, the one who wants to take you in the back room again. You know, Rye baby. Silence. Then came the lies. So many lies. Instantly, like a reflex. I don't know what you're talking about. You're overthinking things. He's just a flirty guy at the bar. It's not like that. You're being paranoid. You read my private messages? That's an invasion of privacy. She flipped it on me. I was the bad guy now because I invaded her privacy, not because she was banging some loser bartender behind my back. When I told her I saw everything, backed it up, and knew she brought him into our home, that's when the mask really came off. She went hysterical, screaming, crying, throwing stuff, shouting about how I never gave her enough attention, how she felt lonely and needed to feel alive again, how Ryan made her feel like a woman. And my personal favorite, it didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything. They had inside jokes, pet names, sex in my bed, in my shower, on my couch. I didn't yell back. I was too tired, too destroyed. I just stood up, looked her in the eyes, and said, "We're done." She tried to grab me, sobbing, saying we could fix this, that she'd block him, go to therapy, whatever. But I saw through all of it. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. And for the first time in years, I felt cold toward her. I walked into the guest room, locked the door, and didn't sleep a second. The next few days felt like I was walking through thick fog, existing, but not reliving. I still had to get up, go to work, walk the dog, respond to emails. But inside, I was shredded. I'd always heard people say cheating breaks you, and now I knew exactly what they meant. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the gaslighting, the humiliation, the loss of identity. I started questioning everything. Was it my fault? Did I ignore her needs? Was I boring, predictable, not enough? I hated myself for thinking that way, but the thoughts came anyway, uninvited and constant. I couldn't focus on anything. Every little thing reminded me of her, of us, the scent of her shampoo in the bathroom, the wine glasses she used, the text tone on her phone, even the damn throw blanket she always wrapped herself in on movie nights. She stayed at her friend Emily's for the first 2 nights after the confrontation. Good. I couldn't even look at her. But she didn't stop calling or texting or emailing. Her messages went from apologetic and weepy to manipulative and angry in a heartbeat. Here are just a few gems. I messed up, but we can fix this. Please don't throw away our life. I only did it because I felt like you stopped loving me. So what? You're just going to run away like a coward? You're being dramatic. It was just sex. It's not like I fell in love with him. I made a mistake. One mistake. You're really going to ruin everything over that? One mistake? That mistake had happened repeatedly, deliberately, and secretly for months. There were plans involved, deceit. She laughed at me in those messages with Ryan, mocked my routines, called me a robot husband, and yet she still thought she could claw her way back like nothing happened. I stopped responding, blocked her number, told her through my lawyer to only contact me about legal or logistical matters from now on. The worst part? There were moments, disgusting, pathetic moments, where I missed her. My brain hadn't caught up to the betrayal yet. It was still wired to love her, to crave her voice, her touch, her presence. And then I'd remember what she did, and I'd spiral all over again. I started going to therapy, best decision I made in years. My therapist told me something that stuck with me. You're not grieving her anymore. You're grieving the version of her you thought was real. And damn, that hit hard. I had to accept that the Jess I loved wasn't coming back, maybe never existed at all, but I wasn't ready to let this end quietly. I had more to uncover. About a week after everything blew up, I stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize the guy staring back at me. I had bags under my eyes, barely ate, dropped 8 pounds, and I was exhausted. But for the first time in years, I saw something I hadn't seen in a while. Clarity. I wasn't just mad at Jess. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was done. People kept telling me to think it through, don't rush into a decision, and maybe try counseling first. Even my mom, who never really liked Jess, said, maybe you guys can work through this if she's really sorry. Let me be absolutely clear. Jess wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. If I hadn't found those messages, this would still be going on. She didn't confess. She hid it, defended it, and even tried to blame me. I realized something. If you have to investigate your partner like a detective just to get the truth, the relationship is already dead. So I made the call. I told my lawyer to start the divorce paperwork. When Jess found out, she showed up at the house uninvited, banging on the door, crying, yelling, calling me heartless, begging me to talk. I didn't answer. She camped out in her car for over an hour before finally leaving. The next day, she sent a long email about how we're stronger than this and people make mistakes and we can get through it if we just try. No, Jess, you had your chance. You threw it away. She also had the audacity to ask if I would consider keeping things amicable so she could get half of the house. Half. The house I paid for, with my income, while she was playing bar top cowgirl with some discount Tom Cruise behind my back. I let the lawyer handle everything from that point. I couldn't deal with her voice, her lies, or her fake tears anymore. I started sleeping better. I went back to the gym. I reconnected with old friends, people I hadn't seen in years because she'd always guilt tripped me about never putting her first. I was finally choosing me. And as I started to rebuild, I found out that Jess's relationship with Ryan wasn't exactly going as planned. After I filed for divorce and blocked her, Jess basically went into full blown meltdown mode. She started posting cryptic quotes on her Instagram story like, "Sometimes the person you take a bullet for ends up pulling the trigger. Everyone makes mistakes. Not everyone forgives. Some men don't know how to fight for love anymore." It was like watching a teenage girl go through a breakup, except she was a married woman who wrecked our relationship and still somehow painted herself as the victim. And then, oh boy, came the karma. Word got out fast. A couple of my friends knew bartenders and staff at the Rusty Oak. Turns out Jess didn't just hook up with Ryan once or twice. She was basically his regular side piece. He had a girlfriend the entire time, a girl named Layla who also worked at the bar part time. Yup, you read that right. Ryan was cheating too, on his girlfriend with my wife. Apparently, Layla found out and went nuclear. She didn't just dump him, she put him on blast. Instagram, Facebook, even Yelp reviews for the bar started popping up mentioning the cheating bartender with zero class. Some drunk regular even posted a photo of Jess kissing Ryan behind the bar. According to mutual friends, Jess thought Ryan was going to be her fresh start. She imagined some fantasy life with this guy where she left her boring husband and ran off with the exciting bartender. She even told one of her friends, "Ryan understands me in ways Dan never could." Guess what? Ryan ghosted her, blocked her number, stopped replying, pretended she didn't exist once it all hit the fan. She went crying to Emily, her girls' night buddy, and Emily straight up told her she'd made her own bed and now had to lie in it. She tried crawling back to me after that, sent me a handwritten letter, actual paper and ink, where she said, "I made a mistake because I felt unwanted and invisible. I just wanted to feel loved again." Loved? Lady, I gave you everything: a home, loyalty, patience. You wanted cheap attention from a bartender who probably doesn't remember your middle name. I didn't respond. Shredded the letter. The best part? Her reputation is in the gutter now. Everyone knows. Our mutual friends have distanced themselves. Even her own family reached out to me to apologize and said they didn't raise her to be like that. I didn't reply to them either. She created the wreckage. Let her sit in it. Just when I thought things were finally settling down, the past came knocking. Literally. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was finally starting to feel normal again. Gym, groceries, coffee in hand, some decent sleep behind me, when I heard a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it and was stunned. Layla, Ryan's girlfriend, well, ex, the one he cheated on with Jess. She looked tired, angry, and frankly like someone who'd had the rug ripped out from under her just like I had. She introduced herself and asked if we could talk. I hesitated, but something about her made me say yes. We sat outside on the porch. She didn't want water, didn't want small talk. She got straight to it. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry you got dragged into this. I didn't even know about your marriage until I found the messages between Ryan and your wife." Apparently, she'd gone through Ryan's phone the night everything blew up. She read everything: the messages, the photos, even one where Jess was wearing a necklace I had bought her for our anniversary while she was sitting in Ryan's lap. Layla said something I'll never forget. Your wife said in one message, I like how he doesn't judge me the way Dan does. He just takes me as I am. But what kind of person wants to be taken as a liar and a cheater? That hit hard. Because that was Jess. Deep down, she never wanted to grow up. She wanted to feel like the carefree party girl she was at 22. Attention, drama, validation. She never evolved. I just didn't see it until it was too late. Layla also told me Ryan got fired from the bar shortly after everything came out. The owner didn't want that kind of circus affecting business. He apparently tried to call Layla crying, saying he lost everything. Good. We talked for a while longer. Layla said she was moving back home to Florida to be with her family and start fresh. I told her I respected that. Before she left, she said, they did this to themselves. You and I, we just happened to get caught in the blast radius. She gave me a sad smile, then left. It was one of the first moments since this whole mess began that I felt understood. No drama, no manipulation, just honesty from someone who got burned by the same fire. Later that night, I poured myself a drink and toasted to Layla, the one unexpected person who made me feel less alone in the wreckage. After the visit from Layla, I thought the drama might finally be tapering off. I figured Jess would lick her wounds, maybe vanish from my life for good. Nope, the universe wasn't done with me yet. It started with a phone call from a mutual friend, one of the few who didn't immediately pick a side. She called me to give you a heads up before you hear it somewhere else. Jess had been fired from the salon. Turns out she'd been showing up late, skipping shifts, and even had a full blown emotional breakdown in front of a client. Apparently, the woman asked if Jess was okay, and Jess started sobbing and ranting about how everyone leaves and people just want to hurt you when you love too much. The client left mid-appointment. The manager gave her a warning. She didn't come in the next 2 days. When she finally showed up again, late, looking a mess, they let her go. I got an email from her. Subject, please talk to me. I didn't open it. Then came another and another. Long rants. Please. Guilt trips. One email said, I didn't know who I was anymore. I lost myself in the marriage. You were always so perfect, and I felt like I was shrinking. Ryan made me feel alive again. I know it was wrong, but it felt good to be wanted. Wanted? Jess was always wanted. I told her that, showed her that. She didn't want love. She wanted constant infatuation, a fantasy. And when the fantasy crumbled, so did she. She started messaging my sister, reached out to my mom, of all people, begging them to talk some sense into me and help fix what's left. My mom sent her one polite message. You had a good man. You destroyed him. Don't ever contact me again. I found out through a neighbor that Jess came by the house one afternoon. She stood outside smoking a cigarette she never smoked before, pacing back and forth in the driveway. She never knocked, just stood there for 15 minutes, then drove off. Later that night, she left me a voicemail, slurring her words, sobbing. I don't know what I'm doing, Dan. I thought he loved me. I thought I could fix this. I messed up. I messed everything up. Please, I don't want to be alone. Click. I didn't call her back. She was unraveling, but it wasn't my job to catch her anymore. She lit the fire. Now she's choking on the smoke. By this point, I had completely blocked Jess. No emails, no calls, no messages. She was spiraling, and honestly, I had enough of her noise. But even in the middle of all the chaos, something surprising happened. People started showing up for me. Some I hadn't spoken to in years. My old college roommate Tyler texted me out of the blue. Heard what happened, just wanted to say you didn't deserve any of it. If you need a break, come crash in Austin for a few days. A guy I used to work with, who I hadn't seen since 2019, sent me a message. Bro, if you ever want to grab a drink and vent, I'm around. No judgment. Even Emily, yes, Jess's friend Emily, the one who used to cover for her on girls' nights, reached out. She sent a simple message. I'm sorry. I had no idea how far it went. She used me as a cover. I won't make excuses. I've cut her off. I didn't know what to say. Part of me was still angry, but another part appreciated the honesty. My sister, who'd never really been close to me emotionally, showed up one night with pizza, a six-pack, and a hug I didn't know I needed. We didn't talk much about Jess. We just watched dumb TV and laughed about stupid memories from when we were kids. And for a few hours, I felt normal again. Therapy was helping too. I started opening up more. I stopped blaming myself. I stopped seeing the collapse of the marriage as my failure. My therapist said something that stuck with me. Loyalty doesn't mean tolerating betrayal. It means showing up with honesty and walking away when someone breaks that bond. I started journaling, going to the gym regularly, even tried out a boxing class, something I always wanted to do but never had time for because Jess always needed attention or reassurance or drama. Now, the silence felt like peace. I didn't know what the next chapter looked like, but for the first time, I was starting to believe I could write it my way. Just when I thought Jess had finally run out of ways to shock me, she went and proved me wrong again. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was working from home, finally having a decent day. The weather was good, my lunch didn't suck, and for once, I hadn't thought about Jess in hours. Then my lawyer called. He sounded tense. Dan, I just got a message from her legal rep. She's requesting a temporary pause in the divorce proceedings. I froze. What? Why? She claims she's pregnant. Silence. I actually laughed at first. It was the most ridiculous, pathetic card she could have played, and the timing, a total cliche. She's saying it's yours, my lawyer added. Of course she was. Let me be clear. We hadn't had sex in over 3 months before I discovered the affair. And the last time we did, she was cold and mechanical, like she was doing me a favor. I remember it vividly because it was one of the first times I wondered if something was seriously wrong. I told my lawyer I didn't believe it for a second. Still, I couldn't lie. The thought creeped into the back of my mind. What if? What if she was pregnant? And what if somehow it was mine? I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I got an email from Jess. I'm not trying to trap you. I just want to be honest. I found out last week. It's early. I didn't plan this. I don't even know what I'm going to do. But if it's yours, I thought you deserved to know. I didn't respond. Instead, I requested a formal paternity test through my lawyer to be done after the birth if she chose to keep the baby. I wasn't going to play games or get emotionally manipulated into doing the right thing while she held her lies like a loaded gun. Jess never replied. A few days later, Emily messaged my sister and told her Jess admitted the pregnancy might not even be real. She said Jess was confused, scared, and trying to get his attention one last time. My attention? She had it. She just lost it. Forever. Whether she was lying, delusional, or actually pregnant by some bartender she barely knew, it didn't matter. The damage was done. And now I was truly done, too. It was a gray, rainy Wednesday when I signed the divorce papers. Fitting, honestly. No drama, no fireworks, just me in my lawyer's office, sitting at a table, flipping through pages filled with legal terms that boiled down to the marriage is over. I initialed, signed, dated, done. It felt surreal, not joyful, not heartbreaking, just empty, like standing in the ruins of a house you once built, knowing you can't live there anymore. Jess didn't show up to the signing. Her lawyer had her signature already. She mailed everything in. I guess I shouldn't have expected her to face me like an adult after everything she pulled. The property was split fairly, too fairly, if you ask me. She got some furniture, her car, and a small payout for marital assets, even though she contributed basically nothing financially for the past 2 years. But I didn't fight it. I wanted her out of my life more than I wanted revenge. The house stayed mine. The dog stayed with me. The peace? Absolutely mine. After the meeting, I sat in my car for a while, watched the rain slide down the windshield. I thought I'd cry. I didn't. Instead, I went home, took Rocky for a walk, made myself a real dinner, and cracked open a bottle of scotch I'd been saving for a special occasion. This was as special as it gets. The death of a lie. I toasted to no longer living in denial, to no longer begging someone to choose me, to no longer waiting up late while she worked overtime with a guy who called her Blondie with the good grip. I burned the last photo of us from our anniversary trip in Asheville. I deleted our wedding photos from my phone. I unfollowed her entire family on social media. I let go. That night, I slept a full 8 hours for the first time in months. And when I woke up, for once, the world didn't feel so heavy. It's funny how quiet life gets when you finally remove the chaos. No screaming matches, no fake apologies, no second guessing your worth because of someone else's lies. The divorce was finalized, Jess was out of my life, and for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. I started filling my days with things that made me feel alive, not to impress someone, not to save a crumbling relationship, but just because I wanted to. I started running in the mornings, joined a local boxing gym, got back into photography, something Jess always dismissed as your little camera thing. Took a weekend trip to the mountains by myself, no schedule, no phone calls, no drama, just me and the quiet. And then something happened I didn't expect. I met someone. I wasn't looking. I swear to God, I wasn't. It started casual, a conversation at a coffee shop about books. We both reached for the same copy of Into the Wild. She smiled. I made a joke. She laughed. We talked for 45 minutes like old friends. Her name was Maya, and she had the calm energy of someone who had been through storms and come out stronger. We kept it light, a few coffees, then walks, then dinner. No pressure, no expectations. I told her about the divorce, not all the graphic details, but enough. She didn't flinch. She told me she'd been cheated on once, too. She understood the rage, the doubt, the numbness that follows. Pain's a good teacher, she said once, but you only pass the class if you don't turn into what hurt you. That hit me hard. I wasn't in love, not yet, but for the first time, I felt something real again. No manipulation, no drama, just kindness, respect, honesty. And it made me realize something important. Jess took a lot from me: time, trust, peace. But she didn't take everything. I still had a future. I still had friends. I still had myself. And now, maybe, I had the beginning of something better. Just when I thought Jess was finally gone for good, she reappeared. It had been almost 2 months since the divorce was finalized. I was doing better, sleeping well, working out, getting to know Maya. Life was finally starting to feel mine again. Then, out of nowhere, I got a knock at my door. It was Jess. No call, no warning, no lawyer, just her, standing there in a hoodie, makeup smeared, and holding some kind of photo album. I didn't say a word. I didn't even open the door fully, just stood behind it, half blocked. Dan, she started, voice shaky. Please, can we talk? Just for a minute. I almost slammed the door, but curiosity and maybe a little morbid fascination got the better of me. She walked in like a ghost of who she used to be. Eyes puffy, skin pale, not even pretending to be the confident, flirty girl who once laughed in my face while cheating. She sat on the couch like it was still hers, like nothing had happened. And then she launched into what I can only describe as a final, pathetic monologue. She said she missed me, that she made a mistake, that she wasn't thinking clearly. She said I wasn't perfect, but I was real and safe. And she didn't realize how much that meant until it was gone. She even pulled out that photo album full of pictures from our wedding, our vacations, old birthday parties. Look at us, Dan. Don't those memories mean anything to you? I looked her straight in the eye and said, they meant something to me. But clearly, they didn't mean much to you when you were screwing some bartender in our bed. She flinched. Good. Then came the tears. Real or fake, I didn't care. She begged. Said she wanted another chance, that she'd go to therapy, that we could start over. She even said, you're the only person who ever truly loved me, and that might have been true. But the difference now? I didn't love her anymore. Not even a little. Whatever connection we had, whatever version of her I once loved, had been buried under every lie, every insult, every betrayal. I told her, Jess, I hope you get help. I really do. But this, us, it's over. For good. There's nothing left. She sat there in silence for a while, then got up and walked to the door. She looked back one last time, waiting for some flicker of hope in my eyes. She didn't find it. She left. I haven't seen her since. After Jess walked out that night, something shifted in me. Something final. There was no more wondering, no more hoping, no more what ifs, just silence and peace. I didn't tell Maya right away about Jess's surprise visit. I needed a couple of days to process it. But when I did tell her, she didn't get jealous or insecure. She just listened. That's her chaos, not yours, she said. You don't have to carry it anymore. That line stuck with me. For years, I had been carrying Jess's emotions, her guilt, her gaslighting, her problems like they were mine, always trying to fix what she kept breaking, always trying to love her harder, thinking it would be enough. It never was. Now, I was finally learning the truth. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. I cleaned out the last of Jess's junk from the garage, a box of random clothes, some books she never read, and a couple of cheap wine glasses from a girl's trip she swore was just the girls. I tossed them in the donation pile without hesitation. Then I did something symbolic. I changed the locks, new keys, new start. That night, I sat on the back porch with Rocky at my feet, watching the sun set behind the trees. And for the first time in a very, very long time, I felt free. Not the fake kind of free you tell yourself you feel while pretending everything's fine. Not the temporary high you get after yelling at someone and slamming a door. Real freedom. The kind where you know the worst is over and you're still standing. I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't want revenge. I didn't even hate Jess. I just didn't care. And that, I realized, was the final step. To anyone reading this who's been lied to, cheated on, manipulated, gaslit, humiliated, I wrote this for you. I know the feeling. The pit in your stomach when something feels off, but you can't prove it. The pain of realizing the person you loved most stabbed you in the back and smiled while doing it. The endless nights staring at the ceiling, asking yourself, was it my fault? Was I not enough? How did I not see it? Let me tell you right now, it wasn't your fault. People cheat because they're broken, because they're selfish, because they don't respect loyalty, honesty, or the human being sleeping next to them every night. You could have been perfect, and it wouldn't have changed a damn thing. Here's what I've learned. One, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let love blind you to red flags. Two, you deserve someone who chooses you every day, not just when it's convenient. Three, leaving isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes guts to walk away from someone who's already given up on you. Four, healing isn't linear. Some days you'll cry, some days you'll laugh, some days you'll want to text them. Don't. You're not going backward. You're just grieving. Five, life goes on. There is happiness after heartbreak. There is peace after chaos. There is love after betrayal. If you're going through this right now, I promise you, it gets better. I thought my life was over when I caught Jess cheating. Now, I'm stronger, calmer, and more at peace than I ever was during that marriage. And to the next person who comes into my life, they're not going to get the broken version of me, Jess, left behind. They're going to get someone who survived the storm and came out wiser, harder to fool, and stronger than ever. Thanks for reading. If this story helps even one person feel less alone, it was worth writing. Stay strong. You're not alone.